The plastic road. It's simple, efficient, low cost, and easier to construct. It's sustainable, contributes to a circular economy, is lightweight, and easy to repair.
Absolutely, there's more benefits on this as well. I mean, the highway is also hollow, which allows cables and pipes to easily pass through it. It can be prefabricated as well.
It's a road that has many advantages over existing products and that contributes to solving some important global problems.
Yeah, and they're talking about the lifespan of this material, well, once it's been put into road form, being tripled. So this means, of course, far fewer and shorter road maintenance is exactly.
But I mean, this is cool. Like, in my mind, I don't have an engineer's mind. I don't know how it works in terms of getting the plastic into the roads, but to make a road solid enough, a lot of plastic will probably be needed. So that will soak up a lot of plastic.
The elements are designed with a hollow space, which can be used for drainage of excess water, making the road flood-proof. This space can also be used for cables and piping. It's a revolution in how we build roads.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about these innovative times that we live in. Plastic roads, man, can you just imagine?
Plastic roadways, what a brilliant idea. With over 50 million hits on Facebook, which means it must be an absolutely wonderful idea. And that must be why people keep asking me just how great this idea is. So it's basically solar roadways, but without the solar panels.
I'm very, environmentally conscious. Good, because solar roadways use as much recycled material in their production as possible.
Like recycling plastic instead of burning it or putting it in landfills. Together with Waven and Total, they will recycle plastic waste into lightweight, prefabricated hollow elements.
Replaced a panel at a time if damaged or malfunctioned.
A damaged element is easily replaced and can then be refurbished or recycled into a new element.
Plus, the roadways have two channels that form what's called a cable corridor that runs concurrently with the roadways themselves. One part houses electrical cables, meaning power lines, data lines, fiber optics, and high-speed internet. The other channel captures and filters stormwater and melted snow, moving them either to a treatment facility or treating them on-site, greatly decreasing the amount of pollution that enters our soil, lakes, rivers, and ocean.
The elements are designed with a hollow space, which can be used for drainage of excess water, making the road flood-proof. This space can also be used for cables and piping.
And they're going to make it out of waste plastic material by some curiously undescribed process, represented here by some computer graphics. They're going to be modular, which means they'll be easy to repair and super quick to build roads. And of course, they have these conduits running along underneath them. So you can just put a road down wherever you want, right? Well, geez, where to start? First, no. A road is a lot more than just the surface. If you want to build a road, you have to do a little more than just slap down some asphalt on a muddy hill. The lion's share of the time and cost of building a road is leveling and straightening the route and a lot of building the foundations. And after that, you want a durable, waterproof surface that is grippy in all conditions. And that coating is pretty much just that, the coating, the road surface. So it's difficult to see that, seeing as this is just the surface that you're worried about here, that there are going to be great time savings in actually building roads here. So that's the first thing, is even if plastics had superb properties for building roads out of, it's kind of difficult to get too excited about this, as the majority of the road construction is going to be exactly the same. Then, of course, there's the minor problem. Plastics, like glass, really doesn't have great properties for making road surfaces out of. I mean, let's just drop immediately this, let's make it out of recycled stuff and cut to the core of the matter, which is, can you make any decent road surface out of plastic? Well, there are many problems. Most notably, it's too soft. Actually, let's take a little step back here. Plastics is a blanket term used to describe almost any organic polymeric stuff. In this case, they seem to imply they're going to use polyethylene terephthalate, which is most commonly used in pop bottles. It's only an implication from the animation, though, because they don't say what plastic they're going to use anywhere. Now, polyethylene terephthalate is a great polymer with some great properties. It's very strong under tension. Indeed, your typical pop bottle will take about 10 atmospheres of pressure before failing, which is very impressive. However, for a road building material, it's dumb on several fronts. Most notably, it's too soft. Polyethylene terephthalate has a hardness comparable to gold, and gold you can scratch or dent with your teeth. Okay, so there's some polyethylene terephthalate from a pop bottle, and one little bite later, and you have a nice little tooth mark in it. Just to give you an idea of how soft this stuff is. Just so I wasn't bluffing about the gold. There's some gold. And with that you should find that there is a nice little tooth mark. Previously there wasn't one. And the same you can do with this plastic. Put that on a road and you get any dirt or mineral material on the road whatsoever, and the abrasion of that dirt between the car and the road will destroy the road at an impressive rate. I mean, let me just give you a little demonstration here of rubbing some standard blacktop against a polyethylene terephthalate bottle for less than 10 seconds. Okay, so there's just a piece of regular pop bottle. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give it 10 seconds of abrasion with some blacktop. You ready? And that's 10 seconds, which, as you can see, this is just like rubbing with your hands. This is not like cars running over it with sand and grit and whatever. And even at that, it's made an absolute mess of this. How do we get a close-up of this? So yeah, I mean, that's just the sort of mess that 10 seconds of abrasion did to a pop bottle. Now that's what 10 seconds of abrasion does. Just imagine what years of cars driving over this stuff is going to do. Just on this alone, the material they are proposing to use is wholly unsuitable for building roads out of. But even if that wasn't the case, polyethylene terephthalate expands way too much to be a good road building material. Its thermal expansion is almost 5 times that of concrete and 10 times as much as the granitic type materials, the rock that is typically used to give a road surface its durability. And plastics like polyethylene terephthalate rot in ultraviolet light, sunlight. Now, it's not a fast process, but it does fundamentally change the properties of the plastic, which is really not something you want from a road surface. And there is no sensible way to prevent that sunlight aging. Yeah, PET's properties are less than stellar. And what the hell's the deal with this creating a cavity under the road?
The elements are designed with a hollow space, which can be used for drainage of excess water, making the road flood-proof.
I mean, that's really just making a rod for your own back. I mean, well, what, they're going to let water go through it? What? Wait, this thing's going to have expansion joints all the way down it, right? So what's that water just going to go through and wash away the foundations of the expansion joints or something? Well, sure, let's take a look at their webpage and see how they intend to join up these modules. There are various ways to connect the prefabricated parts. Further research will have to reveal which method is most suitable. The choice also depends on the final optimal design. Well, don't know about you, but that answered all of my questions. Yeah, or the animation makes it look like you just drop them in rather than you have no idea whatsoever how this would actually work in practice. Or is the point of having this bridged bar structure suspension? I mean, this is one of the reasons why this design is dumb, is you have the entire weight of the cars borne on this tiny fraction of the road surface. So that tiny surface there gets stress aged a lot more than it would if it was borne out over the whole surface. And for what gain? Any flexing of the road surface that the car is required to do will basically increase its roll resistance. And this is meant to take all of the loadings from people on foot to trucks. And for what? So you can put some tiny cables down one side of the road. Someone really did watch too many solar roadways videos, didn't they?
Possible. Plus, the roadways have 2 channels that form what's called a cable corridor that runs concurrently with the roadways themselves. One part houses electrical cables, meaning power lines, data lines, fiber optics, and high-speed internet. The other channel captures and filters stormwater and melted snow, moving them either to a treatment facility or treating them on-site, greatly decreasing the amount of pollution that enters our soil, lakes, rivers, and oceans.
And we all know how that turned out, with their grand unveiling where this idea that was going to revolutionize road construction all over the world. And what do we get? Some crappy paved area that took no vehicles whatsoever and was closed less than a month after it opened because it had already failed. Yeah, it might be a little bit relevant that the road building skills of the solar roadway team hasn't quite progressed to the level yet of laying 30 or so paving slabs in a level fashion, or getting working drainage on it, or simple craftsmanship. But there are still folks out there who think that the fact that they can't even pave a patio-sized pedestrian area is completely irrelevant. These are the genius minds who have thought about road building so much that they're going to completely revolutionize road construction.
These wonderful, intelligent people want to begin manufacturing a technology that can power the future of the whole freaking planet. You need to know about this technology. You need to get behind it. You need to share it with everyone you know, because this is actually happening.
That is, all they've done is they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an illuminated disco floor in the middle of their town square. And still, 3 months later, it hasn't reopened. People who promise the world and spend millions of dollars to deliver a joke.
It's a revolution in how we build roads.
Look, fellas, why not just have this as your plastic road? Oh yeah, that's right, because then you can have the power line running down the edge of the road. But this design, of course, means that whenever you take that panel out, you disrupt the power and the water supply and every other supply that's actually going down underneath the road. Every time you do road maintenance. Either way, the mere fact they don't tell you what plastic they're going to use means that these are aspirational, not implementation level goals. But somehow they think that this is going to last 3 times longer than a regular road surface.
All adding up to a prolonged life expectancy of the plastic road.
Well, based on what exactly? Based on manhole covers made from composite materials. Fiberglass reinforced plastic, not melted down pop bottles. Well, couldn't you just make a fiberglass reinforced composite material road? Well, sure, just optimistically, it would double the price. And on top of that, you would lose the ability to recycle it, because you can't recycle it once it's fiber reinforced. So let's take a quick look at what we currently use to coat roads. Asphalt. It's basically a mix of rock with 5% of the black, goopy, evil stuff left after you've distilled all the useful stuff off crude oil. That's bitumen. So this road surface is a composite material. The rock provides the hard, durable surface, and it's stuck together with bitumen, which provides a little elasticity to the composite, waterproofing, and makes the surface grippy. Rock is pretty dense stuff. It's about 3 to 4 grams per cubic centimeter, which is about 3 times as dense as plastic. Now, they use that as a selling point that their road is going to be lightweight.
It's sustainable, contributes to a circular economy, is lightweight and easy to repair into lightweight prefabricated hollow elements. This means, compared to conventional roads, less heavy equipment is needed to deliver and construct plastic roads, making the ecological footprint a much smaller one.
But that's really not a selling point. I mean, my estimate is those tiles weigh about half a ton each. And there is no obvious way in which those tiles are bonded to the road foundation, which means if you were to try and stop a car at, say, 70 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour or something on that, it may just rip up the road surface because there's no obvious way in which the road surface is attached to the foundations. None. It's not even conceived of at this point. But let's just say for sake of argument that there was a plastic, not a composite material, just a plastic that was hard and durable. There isn't, but let's just say for sake of argument that there was, and that it had great durable traction properties when wet. It doesn't, but let's just say for sake of argument that it did. And let's say for sake of argument that you could make it out of waste plastic. You can't, but don't worry too much about the details. How about the cost? Well, plastic is typically about $1 per kilo or $1,000 per ton. And if you get it recycled, it's maybe half of that, which is good news because that's about the same cost as bitumen. But of course, a road surface is only about 5% bitumen. Factor in the aggregate, the rock you've ground up in the blacktop, and the total cost of the road surface is about $100 per ton. And that's ready to use, which is already half the price of just the raw materials for the recycled plastic. So this road surface is off to a roaring start, being about 5 times more expensive than regular blacktop. Which brings us to another key point. Is it actually worth recycling plastic?
Together with Wavin and Total, they will recycle plastic waste
Or just burning these things as fuel? I mean, big picture type stuff. Mankind currently uses about 4 billion tons of oil per year. About 1/10 of a billion tons gets turned into asphalt. That's 1/40th, or about 2% of our oil-based materials. A comparable amount gets turned into plastics. And turning that oil into plastic takes quite a lot of energy itself. Indeed, it takes about as much energy to burn a kilo of crude oil as make a kilo of plastic, which kind of means that if you burn the plastic at the end, you get the energy back for making your plastic. So you could just think of this as you took some oil and rather than burning it directly, you turned it into plastic, used it until the end of its life, and then you burned it and got the energy back. In energy terms, the plastic is free. Now, sure, it has a carbon footprint of approximately its weight in oil. So, perspective time. A 2-litre soda bottle weighs about 50 grams, so 2 of them weigh about 100 grams, which is about the same carbon footprint as driving about a kilometre or half a mile.
500 yards. That's the length of 5 football fields. Just shy of half a mile.
Which ballpark numbers means that your typical US commuter who spends about half an hour getting to work and half an hour getting back, which, all in is about a gallon of gas, has a carbon footprint about 100 times greater than a single 2-litre pop bottle, and that's just for their daily commute. Further, asphalt is actually one of the most trivially recyclable materials on the planet, with up to 99% of asphalt already being recycled. All you got to do is break it off the road, heat it up, melt the bitumen again, and you can resurface roads with it. And what was one of the key selling points of plastic roads? Oh, that it was recyclable.
like recycling plastic instead of burning it or putting it in landfills.
Yes, congratulations. You've made a road surface that does exactly what the existing road surface does. But hey, maybe this would work if rather than just coating the road with plastic like this, they say made a composite material. Not a fiber composite, I don't know. Rock seems to have fairly good properties for making roads out of. Let's use that. And it's cheap, hard and durable. Maybe we just need something goopy and viscous and sticky to provide a waterproofing surface. And because you're only coating an aggregate, you only need about 5% of the goopy stuff. I don't know, maybe some sort of oil-based material. And voila, a brand new road coating. Now, you might say that's starting to sound rather familiar. And you know what? You'd be right. Sure, it won't be nice and light anymore. In fact, it'll weigh almost what a regular road surface does. Because basically what you're describing is a traditional road surface, just you're using a polymeric stuff as a binder rather than bitumen. Now, I know there will be some who say this has over 60 million views on Facebook and over 1 million shares. I mean, surely they can't just be describing a regular road with a different binder. I don't know. Let's consult their frequently asked questions and see what we can find out. When plastic roads be too smooth to provide traction? Of itself, plastic is not stiff enough. However, in road construction, asphalt, we have a lot of knowledge and experience in dealing with a lack of stiffness. We can use this knowledge to make the plastic road stiff enough. We will first investigate whether we can make the plastic stiff enough. If it's not possible, we could also add sand or crushed stone to the surface of the plastic road by pressing or printing to provide the required stiffness. In fact, it's when you get to stuff like that in the frequently asked questions that you realize just what a half-baked idea this was from a real road-building engineering company. I mean, really, just read the point above this. How feasible is it to actually produce plastic roads? KWS Infra believes in the feasibility of the idea, and we are making substantial investment in further research into the plastic road. The research will have to reveal whether the idea is feasible in practice. Not really what comes across in your video, guys.
It's the plastic road. KWS found a way to give plastic waste a new and durable life.
No, not really. You haven't found anything. Nothing at all. You hope that a way can be found.
The plastic road. It's simple, efficient, low cost, and easier to construct. It's sustainable, contributes to a circular economy, is lightweight and easy to repair.
And may not be feasible.
It's a revolution in how we build roads.
Absolutely. There's more benefits on this as well. I mean, the highway is also hollow, which allows cables and pipes to easily pass through it. It can be prefabricated as well.
It's a road that has many advantages over existing products and that contributes to solving some important global problems.
Yeah, and they're talking about the lifespan of this material, well, once it's been put into road form, being tripled. So this means, of course, far fewer and shorter road maintenance is exactly.
Yep, just like we now have fake news and alternative facts, we now have fake science, spread on places like Facebook by folks who liked what they heard but didn't really care enough if it was true to check it out. Well, Fuzzy Britches, I am the one who checks. And one last final nail in the coffin. If you take a look at the world's bitumen production, it's about 100 million tons per year, 120, that sort of thing. And let's just say for the sake of argument that that all goes into road construction. Now let's take a look at the world's polyethylene terephthalate production, which is about 25 million tons per year. This isn't recycled polyethylene terephthalate, that's world production. Meaning that screw all this recycling crap, even if it was super cool to make roads out of polyethylene terephthalate, there just isn't enough of the stuff in the world. Yeah, bottom line, any presentation that limits itself to mid-range computer-generated animations is almost certainly going to be bullshit. And in this case, mind-blowingly optimistic bullshit. You know, where we don't really know how we're going to join them together, or what plastic we're going to use, or how we're going to actually make the road surface durable. But that didn't stop it from getting over 60 million hits on Facebook.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Let us know what you think about these innovative times that we live in. Plastic roads, man, can you just imagine it?